Hey everyone, welcome back to part 5 of my Project M Ivysaur guide. Today, we'll be talking about how to deal with disadvantaged situations with Ivy. Generally speaking, there are 3 main types of disadvantaged situations that you can be in with Ivy. Being in the air above your opponent, being cornered around the ledge, and being off stage. We'll talk about being off stage in part 6, which will focus entirely on how to recover, but the first 2 will be the subjects of this section. For both types of disadvantage, the first thing you need to understand is that the same concepts we applied in the advantage section will now be used against us. Your opponent will want to narrow down your options until they can cover everything you do, or force you into an even worse position, which makes it necessary to mix them up as much as possible and attempt to do what they won't expect. There's usually no right answer out of disadvantage, because if there was, then that typically means there wasn't much of a disadvantage. So your goal instead is to keep a level head and utilize what resources you do have to get back onto a level playing field. First up, let's talk about getting down when you're in the air. To start, I want to review the resources that Ivy has in this position. After being launched into the air, you have access to the same resources as anyone else, meaning a double jump and an air dodge. But you also have some of the best aerial drift in the game, the ability to manipulate your vertical position using up air and down air, and Seed Bomb, a projectile which can be sent upwards and then fall downwards with Ivy and help her in safely making it to the ground. Together, these options help make Ivy pretty good at mixing up where she'll be in the air at any given time, and make her difficult to easily flowchart and juggle, so long as you mix up your options correctly. In general, the most important thing to understand is that your opponent can only cover so much space on the stage in a non-committal fashion. If they dash one direction, they're limiting their ability to cover the area of the stage that they just left behind. If they jump, then they're committing themselves to trying to hit you before they land, unless they're a fast faller, which reduces how long of a time commitment that jump is. And obviously if they throw out an attack, then they commit themselves to covering one area of space, and sacrifice their ability to cover anywhere else until the move ends. What this means is that we want to use each one of those tools I just named to mix up our opponents and be somewhere that they aren't expecting to have to cover in order to get down safely. If you see them commit to something like jumping towards you or setting up some other trap that relies on you landing at a specific time, you can use down air dodge, or your double jump to get out of the way. Alternatively, you could use up air to get down even faster than they anticipated, potentially disrupting their juggle opportunity before it's even really begun. While this is the main mix-up that Ivy has available to her, whether she falls normally, falls faster than normal using up air, or slower using a dare or a double jump, the key thing to keep in mind here is that you use resources every time you use one of these tools. You can only double jump once, for example, so after you've jumped, your opponent no longer has to worry about that as an option, and it becomes easier to predict when and where you'll come down within their range. For the most part, how you get down from a juggle will depend on your own preferences and the tendencies of the character or player that you're up against, but here are a few things to keep in mind. If you input a seed bomb immediately after a double jump, the seed will end up falling at the same height and speed as Ivy, and can help to cover your landings or make them trickier to challenge. If you want to use up air to get down quickly after being hit, you can do so directly out of tumble, so there's no need to burn 2 resources when you may need that jump to get down later if they catch you out of the up air. Please, for the love of God, do not double jump up air out of hit stun at every possible opportunity. When it comes to getting out of the corner, there are 2 positions that you can be in. In general, Ivy actually struggles to push her way out of the corner if she's on the stage itself. Most of her disjointed moves become way less threatening when she can't mix up her spacing and timing as much, as will happen when you have less room to work with on the stage, and her faster attacks will all be susceptible to being crouch cancelled until higher percents, allowing opponents an easy counterattack to maintain their advantage. However, we have one big strength when we're near the edge of the stage, and that's our ability to retreat to the other position we can have in the corner, which is the ledge. Ivy's actually really strong on the ledge for a few reasons. First, she has multiple great ways to refresh her invulnerability. She can drop from ledge and tether again until she runs out of tethers, which is both fast and relatively safe, and she can also perform a B-reverse up B after dropping down from the ledge to grab it like this. This can be performed as many times as you like, although of course you will eventually stop getting intangibility from grabbing the ledge if you do it forever without touching the stage. In addition to being able to refresh relatively well at the ledge, she has some pretty solid options that she can mix up to make her way back on stage. First, her ledge dash can get up to 10 frames of actionable intangibility, which is more than enough time to get your shield up, roll, dash attack, forward tilt, or neutral air out. In addition to these options, you can just dash into or through your opponent, or begin a longer range attack that would be vulnerable towards the end of its startup, like a down tilt or a grab. Second, we have some pretty solid aerials to use directly from the ledge. As I mentioned in the edge guarding section, we can rise onto the stage with an intangible nair. We can also threaten with tournament winner down air or ledge hop up air if the opponent tries to stay too close to the ledge and doesn't respect you. And if they're further back, giving us that respect, a ledge hop razor leaf allows us to threaten a significant area of the stage between us and them. Like I said in the advantage section, one of the nice things about razor leaf is that while it has a lot of play that makes it weak as an offensive projectile, it does force your opponent to do something that counters the leaf as it approaches. And if they're not already overly close to the stage, this can provide you with plenty of time and space to make your way on stage safely. If you realize that they're already in a position to punish you if you land on stage, you can fade backwards and grab the ledge again after razor leaf, allowing you to repeat the sequence of ledge mix-ups and hopefully get back on stage in a safer fashion next time. If you're comfortable with spacing it correctly, you can also fade back at a specific timing after you've thrown the razor leaf that would let you slide off of the ledge as the animation finishes and then grab the ledge, which is slightly slower but refreshes your tethers and ledge grab counter. Much like getting down from a juggle, getting off the ledge depends heavily on being able to identify where your opponent is, what they can easily cover or threaten, and decide what would work best against that strategy from there. If these tools are applied and mixed up correctly, Ivy can be a force to be reckoned with even in the corner of the stage due to the strong options she can access from the ledge. That's all for today's section of the video. Stay tuned for part 6, where I'll talk about how to recover when you get put off stage. As always, feel free to leave questions in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to answer them or go over any of the concepts from the series in more depth. And you can find a link to the Ivysaur Discord in the description below. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 6 coming soon.